but it's gonna be of what? It's gonna be uncertain, so that you was gonna give diligence, man. So the Most High could say this person, that person did this, and when the book of life is written or whatever. But there's no certainty, but you was gonna have to have a surety. So continuing here, it says 7th verse, and this is the point. What then? Israel has not obtained that which is seeketh for, because they, like I said, that we read within the book of Romans, the 10th chapter, they have a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Okay, so guess what? The scripture says that what? All right, that the Most High is giving that zeal that they have. Okay, he's giving the knowledge unto the elect. Okay, continuing, it says, what then? Israel has not obtained that which is seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. And we read that blinded scripture in the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter. So the Most High has blinded the 2/3. Okay, whom you called, you know, hey, what's up, man? Okay, you know them dudes that are on the road, just bugged out. Okay, the Most High is gonna do away with them. That's what you know as the 2/3. The book of Zechariah, the 13th chapter, on the 8th verse. It goes to tell you that what? 2/3 therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be delivered. That's dealing with the election, man. Now, they might come from all kind of walks, shades, and lifestyles. That's just how the Most High works. The Most High likes variety. You're gonna have a guy that might have been in the army. It's gonna come into a camp. You might have a guy that was ex-drug dealer. You might join the camp. You might have a guy that used to work in a bank. You might have an ex-athlete. The Most High likes the variety, but the reality of the situation is this wasn't going to be no multitude. This was going to be a remnant. Okay, now let's go back to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. So Isaiah 14:1, it says, for the Lord will have mercy upon Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined unto them. All right, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives we were. Now, here it is, we're captives to Esau's system. Okay, we're captives to Esau's society. Well, guess what? The scripture says that we was going to take captive. We was going to take them captives, whose captives we were. Now check out what the scripture says here within the precept in the book of Psalms 149, and I'm going to start from the top. And I might jump around, but the point is Psalms 149 and 8. Okay, so Psalms 149 and 4, it says, for the Lord taketh pleasure in his people, and he will beautify the meek with salvation. So like how the first precept I pulled up today was what? The book of Matthew 1:21, right? And that was the first time the Lord came, and he came to do what? He came to fulfill the first covenant. The book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter and the 8th verse. I mean, it's a lot of precepts today, man. It's a lot of precepts. Okay, hopefully you guys at home are making note. Okay, and Lord's will, I'm breaking it down sufficiently. So it says here, in Hebrews 8:8, it says, for finding fault with them, right? Finding fault with who? The children of Israel, the Israelites. See how this whole picture is coming in and it's jelly. Because why? Because they didn't keep the Lord's statute commandments of the Lord. So the Lord had to deliver them from what? From the judgments, man. Here it is, the scripture says that what? The Lord was going to rejoice in them getting jacked up because they didn't keep the Lord's statute commandments. But he sent a deliverer, man. He sent who? He sent his son, Yahushua, to deliver his people. And that's within the book of Matthew, the 1st chapter, on the 21st verse, it talks about that. But when he came around the first time, he did what? He was saving them, but he was saving them through his death, because the scripture requires blood. The scripture talks about what? The wages of sin is death. Well, guess what? To get rid of that sin, there's going to be bloodshed. When you go into the scriptures, there's a lot of scriptures, there's a lot of biblical law where the judgment of that biblical law there was a blood requisite, man. Okay, there was blood that was required, okay, to atone for that iniquity. So guess what? Yahushua came to atone for the iniquity, but the second time he's coming around now, he's coming to deliver, because you can't save something that hasn't been atoned for. You can't buy something back that's not on the shelf. And we weren't on the shelf, because why? Because they wasn't that requisition form wasn't put in, man. That blood, okay, for the atonement hadn't been accounted for, so the Lord couldn't deliver that house in that time. But when Yahushua came, basically he fixed it. He became the mediator to what? To the Lord gonna be having deliverance unto us in these times that we're living in right now. And I'm gonna show you that within the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter and the 2nd. And then maybe Joel and so forth and so on. So Hebrews 8 and 8 says, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. So this is, again, it didn't mention Moab, it didn't mention Ammon. Although you're going to have brothers that are scattered amidst the Moabites, brothers that are scattered amidst the Ammonites, brothers that are scattered amongst the Ishmaelites. You're going to have brothers from all over the place, man. Okay, you're going to have brothers that was going to be all over the place, but the Messiah was going to what? He was going to deliver them from whether they was going to be scattered. The scripture tells you about that. Okay, in fact, if I go to the book of Amos 9 and 9, just to better elaborate on that point. Okay, Amos, the 9th chapter, and this is, let's start from the 8th verse. So it says, behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I'll destroy it from the face of the earth, saving utterly, I will not destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. So the eyes, the Messiah is scrutinizing and watching all of the different things that are happening. He's got the angels out here recording. That's why the scripture says that what? Every idle word that man is going to say, he's going to have to account for that. So you might have a guy that goes past the account, oh, what are they doing? You might have a person that curses out the man of the Lord behind the computer desk, man. You might be at home, okay, with the door locked, okay, the house shut up, okay, the dog sitting down there by the fire, you on the laptop, okay, chilling out. You see the man of the Lord, you curse him out, and the Messiah says that what? You're gonna have to basically, you can't get away with that. Every idle word that men shall say, pretty much you're gonna have to atone for that, man. And how, like I said, how you gonna atone for that? Here it is, the prophet's been sent out there, so the hand has been set out for deliverance, and you're spitting at the hands of the Messiah. So the only way you're gonna have to atone for that, you're gonna have to atone for it with your own blood, because the Lord set up the way. He set up the mediator. I'm reading about the mediator, and you rejected the mediator. Okay. So Amos 9 and 9 says, behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy from off the face of the earth. Saving utterly, I will not destroy the house of Jacob. So the Messiah said that what? He wasn't going to destroy the house of Jacob, man. Okay, and we read that within the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and the scripture was saying that what? That the Lord would yet choose Israel, and so forth and so on. And so much scriptures dealing with what? The mercies, the sure mercies that's going to come upon the children of Israel. And you're going to be a believer to be a part of the show. Hey, there's a beautiful scripture, man. It's a beautiful scripture that's going to become one of my favorite scriptures, because a particular elder likes this scripture. I'm not going to read it, okay? I've written it down, okay? But it's a good scripture within the book of Ecclesiastes. Pretty much, you got to keep your mind, man. All right, if I can remember where I jotted it down. I jotted it down somewhere. But pretty much, you have to keep your mind. You have to keep the integrity of your mind, because pretty much when you don't keep the integrity of your mind, you're gonna lose the faith, man. Look, let me just put it out there. There's gonna be certain things that's gonna happen within the lives of the men of the Lord that's not gonna make sense. It's not gonna be logical. But the reality of the situation is you have to keep your mind. Okay, if you don't keep your mind and lose your mind, then you're gonna lose your hope, and you ain't gonna be part of the sure mercies of Yahweh Shemel Shah, because you lost the faith, man. Okay, so now let's continue here within the book of Amos, the 9th chapter. So it says, behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy from off the face of the earth. Saving utterly, I will not destroy the house of Jacob. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel like corn is sifted in the sieve. Alright, yes, shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake it. So the point here is the 9th verse, for lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel from among all nations. So Jake's Israelites is going to be sifted from all over the place, man. All over the place. Okay, they're going to be brothers from Ghana, brothers from Nigeria, brothers from the Sudan, brothers from, I don't know, Morocco, from Beijing, okay, from Moscow. Okay, you're going to have brothers from all over the place, because the Most High has got his people, his elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And he said he was going to, what? Gather his people from off the four corners of the earth, man. Okay? So here it is back within the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter, on the 8th verse. It says, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I'll make a new covenant with the house of Israel, okay, with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took him by the hand to lead him out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant I will make with them, make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind, and I'll be to them I'll put my laws into their minds and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people. So that's pretty much that's pretty much the Lord what? Having mercy upon his people. And let's read that again. The Lord shall beautify this back within this book of Psalms 149. Okay, and 4 it says, for the Lord will have pleasure within his people, but he'll beautify the meek with salvation. So for finding fault with them, well, guess what? The Lord had to come back and get rid of the first covenant and establish the second one. All right, and those two covenants was always with the children of Israel. What's the proof for that? The book of Romans 9 and 1 on down, where it talks about the promises and the covenants. Okay, see, the scriptures answers all things, man. All the answers are in the scriptures. Okay? Yeah, it's just zooming out a bit, losing focus. Okay, so let's continue now. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Okay, the 5th chapter. Right, so Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. So here it is. The Lord came the first time, and he came the first time to establish what? He came the first time to establish to complete the first covenant and to establish the second covenant. Okay, that's what the Lord had come to do. Right, now check it out. When he comes this time, he's coming to destroy, and he's also coming to deliver his people physically. All right, so let me go. Let me do this in one certain kind of way. I'll start within the book of Revelations, and I'll start within the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter. So Revelations 12 and 12 says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell therein. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea." No, that's not the one. Revelations 12 and 7. She says, "And there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels." And people think that's actual war between Satan and the Most High. That's not what's going on over there. Okay, Michael's the archangel. His angels, his messengers. Okay, his messengers that were with him. The other angels, okay, fought against the dragon. Who's the dragon? Who are the people that rule the earth right now? The Edomites. They're known as what? The red dragon. Collectively, they're known as the as Esau. Okay, but the power structure that they set up, you can refer to it as the dragon, the red dragon. You can refer to it as the beast. Okay, but ultimately, when they fight up against the Lord, that's going to be likened unto what? The dragon fighting up against the Lord. So fighting against Michael. So it says that and the Lord and the angels, and whoever is involved is going to be involved. Continuing, it says and prevailed not. So this is talking about Esau not prevailing, and that's why they set up this program, the so-called Star Wars program, in an effort to what? To combat the Lord. That's what that was all about. And people are thinking that this is something that's already played out, and Satan was cast out of heaven, and blah 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 blah. Man, you gotta get into the scriptures, man. When you get into the scriptures, you'll be enlightened. If you don't get into the scriptures, you're not gonna be enlightened. It's just that simple. All right. So continuing here, it says and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. So a battle of Esau and his troops, and Esau is gonna have those other nations that have fighter jets and all of that. He said he's gonna get them involved. All right. So they're all gonna get involved. All right, and they're gonna do what? They're gonna try to fight up against the Lord. Okay, it says there, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. And the dragon cast, and the great dragon was cast out by old serpent called the devil and Satan, that deceived the whole world, and he was cast out into earth, and his angels were cast with him. So when the Lord's fighting up against Esau, all right, Esau's not gonna prevail. All right, and him and his messengers and everybody there they're gonna be chucked back down to the earth, man. All the satellites that they put in the sky, they're gonna be sent back down. Okay, all the chariots, the so-called fighter jets, and all of that, Typhoons and the F-35 and whatever, they're all gonna be thrown down to the ground. All right, now let's check this out, right? I'm gonna go to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. But then I'm going to go into the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. All right, so the book of 2nd Ezra 13. Because 2nd Ezra 13, it says the same thing as our Revelations, but it goes into it a little bit in a little bit more detail. So 2nd Ezra 13:1, it says, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind that moved the waters. And I beheld, and lo, there was a man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, where he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen underneath him. So what is this talking about? This is talking about the same event illustrated within the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter, with Michael and the different angels that he's gonna come with, and the chariots that they're gonna come with are gonna basically come to war. You're gonna have this World War III. Well, guess when the Lord's gonna intervene? He's gonna intervene during the World War III event. And as they're fighting against each other, that's what the scripture says. They're gonna leave off of the fight that they have against one another, and they was gonna fight against the Lord. That's what's gonna happen. Now, one might ask, why, if it's a so-called God-fearing country and a so-called God-fearing world, why would they fight up against the Lord? And the reality of the situation is, it's not a God-fearing country and a God-fearing world. This is a satanic world. Okay, this is a world that worships the spiritual demon Satan. And what's the proof of that? You go out there into any major city, especially America, Washington, D.C. You check out Washington, D.C. You find out pretty much that it was set up where different areas within Washington, okay, how the grass and how the hedges are set up, and how the different architecture is set up. It's set up in resemblance to ancient deities. Okay, the word deities is gods. Okay, false gods. Okay, but as a collective, it means basically gods, man. Right. So when you check out Washington D.C., okay, you got the Moloch. Okay, which is the owl in there. Okay, you got many other different things that are set up in there. Okay, many other demonic symbolisms. You look on the dollar bill. Okay, it's got demonic symbolisms. Okay, you just had what was known as Christmas. That really goes on to Saturnalia. Okay, the worship of Saturn. Okay, so you got all kind of different symbolisms out there. All kind of different what do you call it? All kind of different what do you call it? I'm losing my words here. Customs, all kind of different customs that Esau observes, right? In order to maintain his satanic lifestyle. So when the Lord comes up and he says, look, you can't, pretty much when the Lord comes, he's not saying, he's not negotiating. The Lord, when he comes, he's not going to be negotiating. He's going to be judging them for, because you gotta remember, when you go into where Washington D.C. is set up like the owl Moloch, you gotta remember the customs of Moloch. Okay, when you go into the customs of Moloch, you're dealing with the Bohemian Grove where they sacrifice children, man. So you hear it is around Halloween every year, all kind of children go missing. Where do you think they go? Them elite banking families, they buy all of them children up and they sacrifice them so that they could have this their so-called kingdom continue. So when the Lord comes back and he's coming back to judge them for all of this, you better be damn straight that they're going to try to fight up against the Lord, man. Because they're not underneath the vibration of the Lord. Here it is, you go to where people are thinking this dude out there in France is the Antichrist. Look, the scripture speaks about many Antichrists, man. The whole Esau are Antichrists, man. Because they're anti the scriptures. To be the Antichrist is to be anti the scriptures. That's not one individual. That's many individuals that come up against the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So that's why you're gonna have this major world's war play out. And in the midst of that, you're gonna have the Lord present himself, and he's gonna destroy everything that you see. The whole fabric of Esau's empire is just going to be in one sweep. The scripture talks about how the Lord was going to destroy him with the besom of destruction. I got to pull that scripture out. Okay, I got to pull that scripture out because that's a bad scripture, man. Okay, the Lord speaks about how he was going to destroy them destroy Esau with a besom of destruction. That means he's gonna get a clean sweep. Like, you know, you might have the so-called, you got the playoffs coming up now. Okay, it's almost All-Star weekend. All right, and then you're gonna have the playoffs. All right. And you have what's known as a sweep. You know what a sweep is? A sweep is when you come up against a team and you leave them with no wins, man. That's what the Lord's gonna do with Esau. He's gonna leave them with not one single win. He's gonna destroy everything, man. That's why the scripture says within the book of Malachi. I gotta get that scripture now. Okay, that's why the scripture says within Malachi, how that they was gonna build up, but the Lord was gonna throw them down. Malachi, let's get the book of Malachi. This is the book of Malachi, the first chapter, the first verse on down. Malachi 1:1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord, okay, to Israel by Malachi. I've loved you, saith the Lord. I've loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord. Yeah, I love Jacob. So Jacob and Esau are brothers, but the Most High was dealing with Jacob, man. Okay, Jacob and Esau are brothers, but the Most High was with Jacob. All right, the Lord blessed, and that was Isaac. Isaac was the Lord. Remember, the scripture talks about how Abraham was gonna have Isaac as a sacrifice. That was and you see how all of these scriptures tie up. Abraham was gonna be what? He was gonna be sacrificed. The Lord required that Abraham sacrificed his son Isaac. Right? That's what the Bible said. All right, and when he was about to do the sacrificial what do you call it event? I call it event. I forget the word. All right, when he was doing the sacrificial event, what did he say? He said pretty much the Lord tell him, okay, you don't have to do that, because guess